We begin this episode by acknowledging the Wurundjeri and Boonwurrung people of the Kulin Nation, the traditional custodians of the land on which we record and share these stories. We pay our deepest respects to their elders, past and present, and recognise the wisdom, connection, and culture that have shaped these lands for thousands of years. As we journey beyond the veil, we do so with gratitude, respect, and an awareness of those who walked before us, honouring their wisdom, their connection to the land, and their stories woven into the fabric of time. May we listen, learn, and tread lightly, carrying forward their legacy with integrity and heart. Welcome to Beyond the Veil Australia, where history, mystery, and the unexplained collide. From eerie encounters to cryptid lore, from channeled messages to scientific investigations, we're lifting the veil and stepping into the unknown. I'm Heather, your guide through the shadows, and together we'll unravel paranormal phenomena, strange synchronicities, and the mysteries that refuse to be ignored. Whether you're a skeptic, a seeker, or somewhere in between, this space is for you. Fasten your seatbelt, expand your thinking, and get ready to cross the threshold with Beyond the Veil Australia podcast. Welcome to part 2. Last time, our conversation with Marcus from Ozcamper was cut short, not by choice, but by something unseen. After sharing our separate encounters with the same spirit, both our devices began to fail. Batteries drained unnaturally fast, equipment glitched, and the interview ended itself. Neither of us had experienced anything like it before. But in this part 2 episode, Marcus has returned, and together we reflect on the strange aftermath of that recording, explore our thoughts on paranormal tools, and continue our journey into the unknown. From the shared experiences to new revelations, this chapter goes deeper, into spaces where logic falters and mystery lingers. The veil stirred once. Let's see what happens when we lift it again.
Transmission is no longer compromised. Signal has been reestablished.
Hey Marcus, welcome back to part 2. For those that are listening now, if you haven't listened to part 1, I suggest you go back and listen to it because we had a couple of little tech issues that meant we couldn't finish our recording. Now we've come back for part 2. How you going, Marcus?
I'm so sorry about that. I've never, ever had my equipment sort of cook out on me like that before. I've never had everything drop, and everything sort of just dropped out, and it was mid-conversation, and I sort of tried to flag you down, and I'm like, everything's dying. Like, I had everything 100% charged up, and I'm like, my studio lights are going on me, the mic's dropping, like everything sort of just crashed out.
Yeah, look, and you know what? Mine was doing the same at one point too. It was just like a sudden, like, holy shit, my battery's gone from like pretty stable to like crisis mode. And it was just interesting that we both had that happen like at the same time, sort of like.
I know. And
yeah.
I'm usually really well prepared for these. Well, I came in thinking I'm across it all and I'm really well prepared, and it sort of just dipped right away. And I went, oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where we, I know, like when we were able to sort of chat afterwards after we'd finished recording, we sort of made the joke that it was probably Chopper Reed, like messing with us because we were literally just chatting about it.
Even when I'm telling that story, he's still lingering around a little bit, just like,
yeah,
boy,
yeah.
I warned you once.
That's it. I warned you once. I'm going to warn you twice now. And, that's the thing, because we both unknowingly had experiences that neither of us knew about until we were chatting about them. So it was kind of like, fuck, did Chopper do this, or is it just like pure equipment malfunction and we're just losing our shit? But
it's crazy because as I was driving today, I was thinking back to part 1, and like, as you were saying it, I didn't think too much on it, but I find it so interesting that you were saying that you just had that vision of what Chopper would be like. And then the explanation that I gave you in the story, I was just sitting back like, that's a weird situation. It's very strange. The cues that you had where you sort of just went, fuck, hang on a minute. Like, I'm piecing something together here that it's quite strange. And I was just thinking about it today. I'm like, that is a really like awesome, creepy scenario. I'm not even going to use the word coincidence.
Yeah.
I don't like to put everything onto coincidental, things, but no, that was strange.
It really was. I had that thought had crossed my mind a little bit like the day after as well, where I was just kind of like, same sort of thing where you're kind of like, I don't want to like just go, it's just a technical malfunction. It could have very well been, but it was one of those things where it was like, what are the odds that we've both had that happen throughout that recording and we've both had experiences with a particular spirit?
Yeah.
At totally different times. Like, is it a coincidence or is it just like pure just fluke, or is it something more than that? So yeah, I agree with you on that. I think we've both just had those moments of like, what the fuck?
Yeah, just let's label it up to something fascinating. I think it's a bit more fun, isn't it?
Absolutely, 100%. And you know what? I haven't had it happen in any of my other episodes when I've been recording. I hadn't happened in another interview. Like, it was all just normal and fine. And yeah, it was just funny that it was this one that it happened, and it happened to both of us. So yeah, kind of creepy and cool at the same time.
Are we haunted? Are we haunted?
Possibly, but you know what? It's more fun.
I don't want to be haunted.
I just want to be haunted a little bit.
Yeah, like when I'm home, leave me alone. Like, this is
my zone.
Yeah, this is my safe place. Fuck off.
That's it. You can be outside, just don't come inside. Like,
yeah,
that's
tap on the window and shit. That's fine. I'm not going to open the curtain. Like, just not in my house, please.
Yeah. Yeah, fuck off back to where you came from. I don't need this.
I'll break out the rock salt. We'll be all right.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. And you know what? It's one of those things where you just kind of go, they have to respect you enough to know that if you've put your boundaries in place, they can't cross it. So,
100%.
We'll be right.
100%. It's funny because I'm going to lead that back to sort of what we were talking about, I suppose. Look at me. I'm becoming a podcaster now. I'm going to lead that back, Heather,
go for it.
No,
I'm just going to round us back.
Boundaries and everything. Just literally before we cut, I started talking to you about Ouija boards and the use of Ouija boards and how I've got some unwritten rules. And I was sort of saying that I feel like in the near future, I'm going to be put into a position where these rules get broken or bent.
Challenged?
A little bit challenged. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it because I've always said, and this was since I was about 8 years old, I will not use Ouija boards. Now, whether that is from watching The Exorcist at a young age and going, okay, well, I saw what happened to Reagan in that. That's a pretty good disclaimer to not use it. But I remember this time once we were away camping up at Bright, and all my cousins, they're all older than me, they made a Ouija board with a shot glass and as the planchette and some paper, all of that nonsense. And my uncle walked in and he sort of just said, like, what he is doing, and we told him. And like he was blind drunk at the time, and he sort of just went, he's like, just remember, kids, like, you might think that this is a game and you can play with that, this and that. He goes, but what happens? What happens if you let something in that you didn't mean to and it stays with you forever? And since that time, like, the rest of them still played with it, yeah. And I was like, I'm fucking leaving this cat. I'm out. Like, and that has stuck with me for 22 years since then. To this day, I don't know if I want to use it, but I'm interested to know if you see it as a tool that can be used in the correct context, or if you think maybe that, people are starting to normalize it because they see it more on movies from what the actual purpose is of these tools. What are your thoughts on Ouija boards?
Yeah, that's actually, definitely a good one. And I know I spoke about this with my recent guests as well. And the same sort of thing came up. It was sort of in the same sort of context. And because, like, I see lots of different things as tools, but I am very much like you from a young age, it was known that you just don't fuck with them, right? Like, just don't, because it's not safe. And funny just to bring in Ozzy Osbourne for 2 ticks before I finish the rest of my thoughts. I don't know if you ever saw the show, The Osbournes Want to Believe, where Jack
Yes.
Osbourne sits down, with Sharon and Ozzy, and they kind of talk about some stuff. Anyway, it was funny. I think something came up. They were watching a clip about a Ouija board use and something creepy happened with it. And Jack kind of said the same thing. Like, what do you think about Ouija boards? And Sharon's just like, whatever. Like, she's just so nonchalant. And Ozzy's like, I don't fuck with them. You don't know what you're messing with, blah, blah, blah. And Sharon's just like, what the hell's wrong with you? And he's just like, nah, you don't do anything like that. And then Jack made a point of saying, but you sold, like, your brand sold them. And he goes, not my fucking wishes. And I laughed because I was kind of like, of all people that I thought probably would have fucked around with it at some point was him.
The Prince of Darkness.
The Prince of Darkness. And he was like, nope, stay away. No way. So I found that really funny. But, and that sort of also helped me. It kind of was like that confirmation bias of like, yeah, we just don't fuck with them. But what I've noticed is throughout my journey with my podcast and just the life of being connected to the spirits and sort of learning, even now in my 30s, that it's like, oh, maybe that was actually to do with like mediumship or psychic ability. I'm starting to really piece a lot together. And, I read tarot cards, so I'm still developing a little bit, but I read tarot cards. And for a long time, I'd always had a really strong interest in learning tarot. And I had a tarot deck, like your traditional Rider-Waite tarot deck. But for several years, every time I would pull the deck out, I'd be like, I'm not ready to learn it yet. And I thought, when the time's right, I'll be able to learn what it's all about, and then I'll be able to use it as a tool and what have you. Anyway, fast forward a couple of years, it was probably January last year. I went to like a psychic wellbeing festival thing that they had on in my local area. And anyway, I kept walking past this particular stall and it had tarot cards there. And I'd had a tarot reading and I was kind of told, like, you need to start connecting. Like you're ready to start connecting and doing all of that sort of stuff. And I'm like, okay. And I kept walking past and I saw this tarot deck and I just loved it because it was a deck that represented what I think about spirituality. And it's, to kind of describe it, it's kind of like that skeletal look with floral design in it. So it's that real, I don't know, kind of demonstrates how beauty can be in anything that you see, the dark and the light, And that's what it was about. It was about, okay, now I felt like I connected better with that deck because it was like, you understand me and I understand you because we have this connection in whatever it is, our viewpoints of something or the way that it aesthetically looks to me is like, I can connect with this. So I could see that as a tool. And as I've been utilizing that more and more, the more I understood that, obviously different technology. So like, your EVP recorders, the cameras, REM pods, EMF detectors, all of those technical pieces of equipment are tools. Psychic mediums are tools. Tarot cards are tools. Ouija boards are tools. So what I've learned is that I'm still not keen on the idea of it, but the more I've learned, the more I've started to see it as, I think it'll be like the tarot deck. If you know how to use it correctly, if you know how to open it properly, if you go in with respect, if you are with people that are on that same level, because I think that's the other thing is you might have one person that's trying to do the right thing and you might have a bunch of others that are just reckless and are skeptical on it and go, what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
And that's when shit happens. And somebody in my life had, as a teenager, why is it always when we're teenagers? Seriously. As a teenager.
Think we're invincible.
And we think we're fucking clever, honestly, and we're so dumb. Anyway, so this person in, a family member, loved one, had experimented with, I think, their sibling and I think a friend of theirs when they were about 15, 16.
Yeah.
And they'd done this Ouija board and they were kind of a bit skeptical, a bit reckless, what have you. And they were advised through this session that this particular being will be at a certain point and will look a certain way. And they kind of like, oh, whatever, fuck off.
Yeah.
And so they've closed it, however they've done that. they've got up and they've walked out and they've sure enough looked down at this location where this entity said it would be, exactly the way it was supposed to be, where it was. And they went, fuck.
Yeah.
And that was it. They were like, nope, no way. And so it wasn't until this person was more involved in my life, there were certain things that were going on for them that I could kind of see that as they opened up and they expressed that they had done that as a teenager, certain things for me where the penny was dropping, like, you've messed with something and it's always going to linger. And I managed to somehow, I had this like chakra, you know, those chakra bracelet things and necklaces and stuff. So I had some of those because I was like trying to balance myself out. And so I was wearing the necklace and I said to this person, put the bracelet on just for a day, see how you feel. You probably think it's a load of shit, just see how you feel. And I had inadvertently, when I'd given them that, had then been reciting that whatever this thing was that had hassled them through the use of this Ouija board is no longer welcome and they need to detach. And I basically kind of just told it, fuck off where you came from. You're not welcome here. You can no longer harm this person, etc. And so about 2 days later, they've kind of gone, your bracelet fell off or something. It like broke and I couldn't figure out why. And I was like, oh, okay, well, how are you feeling? Even if you're not wearing it? They're like, so much better. I don't know. It just made me balance. And I went, okay. I'm like, well, that's really good. Don't stress about the bracelet. Me knowing full well that jewelry was not only serving as like a protector for them, but it had taken the hit of this energy and fucked it off. And then it was really interesting because I kind of thought, okay. And later on, when I started to understand a bit more about my ability, I was able to, and I'm a shocking drawer, like absolutely not my forte. I'd had a vision of this thing and somehow I drew it. It wasn't brilliant, but it was a fuck ton better than normal.
Yeah.
And I ended up going back to this person and saying, hey, just out of curiosity, remember that story you told me about when you'd use the Ouija board and, you know, this thing appeared? Did they look like this? And they're like, fucking oath, yes. And I'm like, okay, thank you. And off I went. And then I burnt it to kind of be like, all right, well, off you go. See you later. And haven't had any issues with it since. So it was just really interesting. So I think if you're reckless and you don't think about the consequences and how to use something correctly, or you're not going in with the right intention, I think that's where we get quite scared of what's going to happen because we've seen those negative things happen. So I think, like, even though you're kind of like, I don't know if I want to do this, if you guys are going to do it in a respectful way, you've got somebody that knows exactly how to open that tool, how to use it, and how to close it properly, then realistically, nothing should happen in a negative sense in the theory. And that's sort of where my thought process around Ouija boards has started to evolve to. I don't think I'm ready to use one. I'm not sure if I ever will be, but I think it's one of those things that you might just know if you want to have a go or if you don't. So that's kind of my thoughts, and some experiences, but I don't know. What do you think after hearing that? Do you think that's
definitely given me some time to wait? I was actually very, very like entranced in that story. I was very much like, I was imagining everything. I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking good for a bit. And I think it's just following your gut, because you are right. If I get to a point in life where I go, no, I feel like I'm capable. I feel like mentally and spiritually I'm ready. I'll cross that bridge. But at the moment, embarking on this journey, I think there's so much more to learn before diving into something like that. And just because it has been that rule of mine, I don't think I'm ready to break it yet.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's the thing. Like, you know, if people want to have a go on it, I think it's one of those things where you really have to feel that, that, I don't know if pull's the right word, but like feel connected to ready
that
to
connection,
try that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's that's really interesting because it's always been that thing, and I'm like, nah, I'm all right. And you hear a lot of different scenarios with them. Some people will be like, it's completely fine, I'm a pro, And then you'll see the most seasoned, psychic go, what are you fucking doing? And you're like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. What am I doing?
The pros said it was fine. And they're like, there is no fucking pros. These boards were designed by witches fucking like, no.
Yeah, well, and that's the other thing too, isn't it? I think it's, there was such a big craze too when they were really a thing about people wanting to connect with their loved ones that have passed, but just, it was that, what did they call it? The spiritual revolution or something.
Yeah.
Where there was, that period where it was like, it's all the craze. And then there was like a bit of a change in maybe religious viewpoints that then demonized all of that. And then it's kind of like, okay, so, because that's been a viewpoint for such a long time, it's like, so is it just a tool or is there more credence to this? And it's like, I'm curious, but I don't know if I'm curious enough to try it. Like,
and then you see people selling them at fucking kids' stores.
Yes, yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What do you,
Once upon a time, it was the family game.
Yeah, literally. And you're like, nah. And I think maybe because it's being popularized in movies and everything now from Paranormal Activity, like, back when The Exorcist came out, that whole movie was a fucking big red flag to go, don't touch them.
Yeah, 100%.
Look what happens. And you're like, well, checks out.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. And you do come across clips like, like when Jack Osborne was showing Ozzy and Sharon this particular clip about this Ouija board, and like there were some things in that where it was kind of like, whoa, like what's going on? Is this the demon in inverted commas that's associated with the Ouija board? Because I think if I was ever to participate and I saw that happening, I don't know how I would react, but I'd be like, the door's that way and I'm gunning for it. Like, see ya.
I think with Ozzy's passing and everything as well, I think I'm just going to take that as a bit of a sign. And from his little warning, I think that's enough for me to go, not right now.
Yeah. Let's just check back in at a later date and see how we feel. It's up for review.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. This is so fucking random and off topic. I remember once I was scrolling Facebook and I saw this big rug. It was a rug of a Ouija board.
Oh.
And I still laugh at this because the top comment on, like, when you click on it, the top comment was some dude and he's like, motherfucker, no, I'm going to be asleep one night and my Roomba's going to summon a fucking demon. Like, the automatic like, I showed Nikki, I'm like, Nikki, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen. He's like, fucking Roomba's going to summon a demon by accident.
That is brilliant. And you know what? That would be something like, if you saw that, you'd just be like, don't ever get a robotic vacuum. Yeah. Don't ever get a Ouija board rug. Just stay away.
That was the fucking funniest thing. I'm just like, that's fucking gold. Like, that's pure internet fucking gold.
That is brilliant. And it's just put that, like, spin of, like, we don't want to fuck with that, but here's why. Yeah. Because even if I'm not doing it, the fucking Roomba's going to do it. I don't want that shit.
Yeah, I read it and I'm like, the Roomba. And then I'm like, oh, it's a little vacuum. And I'm like, yeah, it's fucking driving in. He's like, nah, it's going to summon something by accident. Fuck that.
And then imagine that. Imagine this thing that gets summoned is like somehow now attached to that fucking vacuum. Imagine trying to program that shit to clean your house. It'll be fucking climbing walls. Fucking
Roomba's gone as the planchette, just moving up and down. Oh, my God.
And then you'd be waking up in the middle of the night and you're fucking like Google Home systems like going off and your Roomba's on the roof and like you'd be like, what the fuck is going on?
That's not a setting it's meant to have.
I thought it was I thought it just stopped when it hit a wall, but clearly it doesn't.
No, it was fucking
New
funny.
marketing strategy for Roombas. Save time getting rid of your cobwebs. Here's the Roomba that can do it for you.
I thought it was the greatest thing ever. I'm like, that's fucking gold.
That is gold. That is literally the best.
Yeah.
That is the best. I love that. That's like my new favorite thing.
Yeah, it tickled me. It fucking tickled me. I'm like, that is... Yeah. I had to show Nikki. She's like, the Roombas. I'm like, yes.
I love it. That is so, so good. But yeah, I mean, it is. It's Ouija boards are interesting tools, but yeah, I don't know. But then I could be one of those people where it's sort of like I'm going based on my experience as well. So I don't know if anybody out there has thoughts on it, if you've used one and how did that go? Like, yeah, for sure. Let us know. I think
Let us
Marcus
know.
and I are both curious about how that went for you.
Yeah, definitely.
And of course, if it turns into a like Roomba going crazy or some kind of creepy story, like send it into Marcus and he'd be able to have a
I'll
look and
tell
maybe
it.
tell it.
I will
So,
share that story.
yes, I love that. That's awesome.
Fucking
But I
funny.
guess, oh, it is funny. That is just like seriously the best, honestly. That's like the highlight of the day today.
I thought you'd get a kick out of that one.
Oh, that one's gold. You know what? I'm probably going to be sitting there giggling for the next 3 hours about it because it'll be one of those things that you picture it in your head actually happening.
That's why the poor thing thinks it's just on its settings moving and fucking writing out this demon's name, and you're like, stop.
Oh, could you imagine that? It somehow opens it and then you're just starting to see these 2 letters being hit constantly back, forth. You'd be like, is the Roomba possessed or is something else going on?
Yeah. Oh,
Oh my
funny.
God, that's gold. That's brilliant. I'm going to be thinking about that all night now, like, and just giggling, I think.
You gotta have a laugh with it.
Oh, you do, especially when there's some really like heavy stuff that you encounter. It's kind of fun to see like a bit of the shits and giggles in it too.
Someone said that about my last video, actually. They commented and they're like, I think it's so disrespectful. You were walking around and you were laughing. And I'm like, oh, look, I'll be honest with you. When you put yourself in extremely creepy, scary situations, I think one of the easiest ways to cope is through a bit of humor. And when you're walking through a cemetery at 3 a.m. on the side of a cliff, I'm gonna have a laugh with the film crew and stuff because it sort of just it makes it a little bit more bearable.
100%. And look, I absolutely agree with that. There are times, it was like with our tech issues the other day where we just sort of had to throw in there, maybe it was Chopper,
Yeah.
like just those little funny things that just kind of, you sometimes just have to have those moments where you just laugh at something. And it's almost like for some people, when they get a bit nervous or they get so immersed in something, it's almost like that response where you're kind of like, I don't know whether I'm afraid or not afraid or whatever, that it's just like that like that what people call the nervous laugh. Like it's sort of like, what the fuck is going on? Because it's like your body's sort of in shock and it's like, how do I like comprehend this? Because it's
like
just not processing.
Like a fight or flight thing, isn't it? So I'm like, we try, like, I try to keep it pretty real. So, like, I will show my real reactions and, going to some of these locations, telling some of these stories, I'm like, I'm going to find these little humor cues in it. Different if it's true crime, then,
Yeah.
But when I'm putting myself out there, I'm like, no, well, it's like, we had this incident where we nearly rolled the 4-wheel drive off a cliff. Like, it would have been death. But we piss ourselves about it now because it didn't happen. And I'm like, well, if I'm not laughing, I'm going to throw up. That was fucked. Like, and you sort of do that. It's a bit of a coping mechanism, isn't it?
It is. It's what they call here's my professional brain coming in right now, but it's what they call a trauma response.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why some people that have experienced trauma, whether it's sort of a one-off event or they've had multiple layers of trauma through their life, sometimes will almost have a very deep, dark sense of humor where they just kind of laugh because it's like, if I don't laugh, I'll cry. It's just that, yeah.
100. You'll see some of the funniest people have gone through the most shit in their life. I think back to the comedian that was dating, so random, Kim Kardashian and Pete Davidson.
Oh yes.
You, like, I don't watch like much of him, but I just remember when he was doing the Justin. We're so off topic from Paranormal. He was doing the Justin Bieber roast, but some of the jokes he was saying, he lost his father in 9/11.
He did,
and he had some of the grimmest jokes about that. But I'm sitting back going, well, this is his trauma response of losing a parent. and he uses humor as his coping mechanism. So it makes sense that when people are in these extremely scary situations, sometimes they will draw on humor. They will draw on that laughter. And that's why I think you see so many comedians that are so damaged, but they turn it, they turn what's hurting them into something that they can use as a tool. And it's,
100%. And that's why I'm so funny. But it is like, it is one of those things, you're absolutely right, where you're trying to, rather than, oh God, here comes the Happy Gilmore quote again, where it's like a merry-go-round where you go round and round and up and down at the same time, and you harness the good energy and you block the bad. But it's one of those things where I think rather than using that pain as anger and using that energy in that way, if you've got that ability to harness that pain into something that brings joy to other people, it therefore then brings joy to you and is actually kind of a method of catharsis and healing, even if it's just like a mil worth of that. It's
100%.
Yeah, so I totally agree.
And I think it keeps you in control a little bit as well. If you start showing 100%. A lot of weakness, and people might not realize this, but if you show a lot of weakness in situations like this, you are opening yourself up to a flurry of bad things that you probably don't want near you. So if you can use a bit of humor, as a bit of an authority stamp to go like, no, I'm not breaking in this situation, I think it does you pretty well.
100%. Absolutely agree. And, that's why we're so funny, Marcus, because
we're hilarious.
Obviously, we are. We've been through so much shit.
We're 50 Shades of fucked. I was,
no, 55.
Yeah. Fucking great.
But yeah, no, it is. I absolutely agree with you on that, 100%. But like sort of piggybacking from that, because we kind of chatted about like some different things, but to kind of keep it on this topic a little bit is like, what's something people that, have started following you or anything like that, what's something that people might be surprised to learn about you? So is it something that might be like a ritual or a habit that you have before filming, whether it's just doing social media stuff or whether it's the investigation side?
As far as rituals go, I have got a pretty stock standard ritual. So I think since starting on social media and everything like that, a lot of people have realized that I'm probably one of the biggest supernatural buffs in the world. That show was my entire childhood growing up. So I think before every ghost hunt, I do like to I'll pick a random episode, and Nikki's never watched Supernatural. She had never seen it. I don't know how she missed that. I don't know how I missed that in the screening process before our first date. But so now I'll always just pick a random episode, a random hunt. So before I go out for the night, I'm like, all right, sit down. We're going to watch an episode of Supernatural. We're going to get in the zone for it. And it zens me. It zens me.
Yeah.
It gets me in the mood. I've got a few songs that I'll always just like put on throughout the day getting ready for the trip as well. So super, super random. Like People Are Strange by The Doors. Don't ask me why. Yeah. Don't ask me why. I don't know. But that's one of them. So I'll always just like, yeah, we're all weirdos here. But I sort of like the night before, I'm like, no, episode of Supernatural, get some music going, and it sort of just gets me in that bit of a flow state before I go out filming and everything like that.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. And it's good because you sometimes need those like what do they call them? Like a power song. Like you just need that like little, that's that moment, like you say, you might be on the way to the location. You're like, I just need the power song because now I'm starting to shit myself. Like,
yeah, exactly. And I don't know, it zones me in. Or I'll watch The Lost Boys.
Yeah, I love it. There's so many of those particular shows that have been put on by that are produced by the same people. I have found like Upper Middle Bogan and different things like that as well, where you're just like, I just need something that just makes me feel like I'm just a normal human that can just have a laugh and whatever before I get stuck into something that could be really heavy or could be really scary or whatever. Like you sort of need those
100%.
funny little things too.
100%.
So,
and then
yeah,
I think as well,
agree.
just another thing I suppose that people have learned is that I'm a massive nerd. A lot of people see like the 4-wheel driving the camping, the fishing, the bull riding. So they
Yeah.
sort of expect, and like I grew up on a horse stud. So
Yeah,
I think a
cool.
lot of people see like the bush side, but then they're like, this guy like is way too into fucking movies and stuff. What's going on here? And I'm like, you can be on both sides. You can like, I think everybody's got those little things that they probably don't share as much because they're like, oh, people will judge me. For me, like fucking massive movie nerd, massive.
Yeah.
That sort of has started to show in my content now, and I'm comfortable enough to show all of that and be like, yeah, I'm into ghosts. Yeah, I'm into the paranormal. Yeah, I fucking love horror movies more than the normal person probably should. And I think that's sort of reflected in my content as well, which has been great because that's probably something that I have like suppressed throughout the time as well. But now I've found, since being on social media, my confidence has skyrocketed because you sort of get to that point where it is a do or die, right? Where you're like, if this does get big enough to the point that I want it to, everyone's going to see it. Everyone is going to see your face telling a story or your face running around with a fucking an EMF reader. Like, so now my confidence is that high with all of this. Never in a way of arrogance. I think I'm just confident in myself, which is a nice feeling where I'm like, I don't care. Like, you either like me or you don't. If you don't like what you see, that's fine. And it took me a long time to learn that, but you're not everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah, 100%. I absolutely agree with that because I feel a little bit the same. I think it's been, for the journey, especially with this podcast, is, I think probably 6 months before I'd even actually done anything with it to be like, yeah, okay, I'm off and I'm firing. It was probably a good 6 months of just, I don't know why, but I just kind of got on Canva and just stuffed around with some things. And then I was like, why am I doing this? And then I just kind of felt this, like every time I'd be working on it, I just felt like really positive. Like I just felt like it was like, maybe I'm meant to do this,
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And it was sort of, once I actually went, okay, somehow I'm in Officeworks and I'm trying to buy a microphone. I came to Officeworks to get fucking paper. Like,
100%. You take that next step, right? And then it doesn't help when you go through like JB Hi-Fi and stuff and they're like, oh, you want the content creator influencer stuff. And you're like, don't call it that. No, I like making videos. Like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop.
And exactly. And you're sort of standing there and you're like, I'm going in to get this and this only. And you somehow end up just walking past and you're like, how did I get to this aisle and why am I here? I feel like I'm kind of being pushed into this right now and I'm not sure how I feel about it, but maybe I should just take the leap. And literally was just like, took the leap and went, okay, somehow I'm doing this. Don't know how good it's going to be, but we'll have a crack. And then it was like in one day, I just somehow started opening up the socials and it was just like friggin' bang, bang, bang. And it just was kind of like, okay, maybe there is something to this. And I think as I've gone along and now I feel a bit more comfortable with recording and I sort of know what I like to do and what I don't like to do. And I'm still, you're starting to settle into that groove a bit. You kind of have this element of confidence where you're like, I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea, but I also don't care. Like
100%.
I'm not going to sit there with a gun pointed at someone's head and saying, you have to like my podcast and you have to watch it or you have to listen to it and whatever. Like, I'm just kind of like, mate, if you don't like it and you don't want to be a part of it, that's cool. It's like the first couple of times I saw things on YouTube where it's got the thumbs up and the thumbs down. And I was kind of, I don't know, just checked over some analytics or something. And I looked at it and I was like, oh, I didn't even know it had thumbs down feature. And then I'm like, okay, well, if you've given it a thumbs down, why are you still here? Like,
yeah, exactly. Scroll on.
If that's right. Like, if you really didn't like whatever that was, the fact that you could put a thumbs down and like, I just couldn't comprehend it. And I'm like, maybe I'm not understanding the proper feature of it, but I just was kind of like, okay. But I think because I was in a place where I felt more confident and I was happy, I'm happy doing what I'm doing and I'm happy with the way I'm doing things and not everyone's going to like that. And that's cool.
And they won't support it either. And, people, that's right. But you sort of learn as well, the older you get, you're like, a smaller circle is a lot more peaceful.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So it is really funny. It's that same sort of thing where you get into that zone where you're like, I feel more confident in me, and you're more confident to let out that authentic you. And I think that's where, sometimes I think I was so focused on everything had to be perfect that it's now just like, you know what? Who cares?
Yeah, fuck it.
And people have said to me a few times, like, you know what I love about this is that, if you fucked up or something, you might go, oh shit, sorry, but I can't even talk. You know what I mean? Like, you
Yeah.
just kind of like do these silly things where people are like, oh my God, you're a human being like me. Yes, I love that. Because
Yeah,
I'm
you
the same. That's what I
you don't
connect
need to be
with.
perfect.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, no, I think that's something else that people have probably learned through through my content journey and everything like that. They've probably just seen, probably just peeled the veil back a little bit. They've gone beyond the veil, if you want.
They've gone beyond the veil. I like the way you did that. Very smart.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think it's kind of cool, and it's kind of cool to hear a little bit like, just those little behind the scenes things that not everyone gets to see. So I suppose then that kind of moves into the next question of, if you weren't doing what you're doing with OzCamper, with obviously moving from four-wheel driving into the paranormal, what would you be doing instead if you weren't doing any of it?
If I wasn't doing this type of filming, because like I said earlier in part one, it took me years to actually sort of make the jump to social media. And a lot of people seem to think, especially when people see me out, they're like, "Holy shit, man! You're the guy on TikTok and everything." I think they think it's a full-time gig. The dream to go full-time would be awesome, but no, I work my 9 to 5. Like, I've got a full-time job and everything like that still. And you keep at it and see where it goes. But if I wasn't doing this form of content or anything like that, I think I would definitely be doing movie reviews.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
Yes.
diving into horror movie reviews and everything like that. I had a TikTok channel for about a week before I even knew how to use the app. And I was reviewing horror movies, but it was fucking shit. Like, I didn't even know you could pause the camera. So, like, it would take me 30 takes, and I'd be like, all right, come on, man, you could do this. And like, I tried to review a movie called The Last Shift. It's actually a really cool horror movie.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right. So Last Shift is a movie about a rookie cop that stays she's doing the last shift at this precinct, and a lot of weird stuff starts happening. And then all these ghosts come in. So I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? So I think I'd be doing something along the lines of like movie reviews and stuff like that. I still might. Who knows? I might start dropping some old school horror movie reviews as well.
Yes, just throw it in just to mix it up a little bit, keep people on their toes. I love that. That's awesome. And if you could have dinner with any historical figure or celebrity, so they can either be currently past or living, either way, who would it be and why?
That's a good question. A historical figure.
Or a celebrity, anybody.
Or a celebrity. You know who would be awesome, actually? You know who would be really, really cool? I would love... it would have been really cool to have been able to sit down with someone like Wes Craven and just dig into the mind of, like, the person who thought up A Nightmare on Elm Street, like one of the most historical horror movies. And then you look at the whole discography of Wes, like, there was so much imagination there. Incredible, such an incredible filmmaker. And the more I get into longer form content, I really do like dive into this, and I'm like, how does someone's mind get so creative, and to get the shots that he got and everything? It would be so cool just to sort of dive in and ask those questions. Were you a fan of horror? What got you into this? Like, just to see where some people start out. And like even the other day, I think we mentioned it off camera, but how Matt Rife and Alton Cassidy have now bought Ed and Lorraine Warren's house. I think it'd be cool to sit down with the two boys and just see as well. Like, you look at Matt's story, and he was trying to be a comedian for 10 years before that one TikTok video popped for him. And it'd be really cool, I think, at times, just to hear from people that have made it and are now, household names. How did you go through that adversity? How did you go, consistently telling yourself this will work until it works? Because it's probably it's probably one of the biggest things I think that a lot of people that start getting into social media or anything really suffer from, right? I do every day.
Yeah.
I know every
Yeah.
single day I'm banging my head on the wall going, like, I'm trying to jump and beat the process and you get to the end of the story, but it's like, you got to just ground yourself, mate, a little bit. I think it'd be really cool to talk to somebody like that and just sort of see how, how did you go for those 10 years?
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree because I'm much the same. I do tend to think about like, Jesus, even someone like Eminem, like
100%.
as a really good example,
It's a really good one.
He didn't start making it really until he was sort of in his 40s. And I think, do you know what's really great about that is that you learn that it's like, it's never too late to do what you love.
100%.
And it doesn't matter how long it takes you to get there, as long as you understand what your experience is on that journey, because when you do get there, you've experienced this thing that's helped you appreciate getting to that goal and being humble for it.
Absolutely. It's so true though, isn't it? Like, and you just to step back. Even do you know the show Yellowstone?
I know of it. I haven't actually watched it, but I know of it.
So
yes.
the writer of Yellowstone, like, his story is incredible. His name's Taylor Sheridan, and he was on the TV show Sons of Anarchy.
Oh,
So he was on Sons of Anarchy years ago, and he was playing. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen. I've seen Sons of Anarchy. That's why I was like, Sheridan. Why does that name ring a bell?
He was the rookie cop. He was the young cop in season 1 and 2. So when he was doing Sons, he asked for a pay rise after the first season, or because spoilers alert, he gets killed in the second season, drive-by. But he asked for a pay rise, and the the writers and producers of the show pretty much said, very much so, you're entitled to it, but the fact of the matter is we can't give you a pay rise because you were call number 7 for this position. Like, we've got 7 people in front of you that we can call that will pick up this role. So he ended up leaving the show, and then he went away, and then he just kept writing and started writing his own scripts, and then he came out with a movie called Sicario.
Okay.
So he wrote the movie Sicario, and then he ended up writing Yellowstone. So he wrote all of Yellowstone, and now he owns a huge ranch, the Four Sixes Ranch, where he gets paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for all of these companies to go shoot movies out there. And he's currently one of the biggest writers going around. And that came from someone who, when they were, 30, 35 years old, they were told, mate, you're number 7. Like, nah, you're not going to pay rise. And then 15 years later, he went, oh, well, fucking watch. I'll show you number 7.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. I love that. That's awesome. And it's cool hearing something like that because, for a show like Sons of Anarchy, it was one that I really, really enjoyed watching. And that's why I was sort of like, oh, that name rings a bell. And when you mentioned it, I was like, that's where I know it from. To even think that somebody that was on such a huge show had those kind of struggles where it's like, you're number 7,
You're
it's
number
sort
7,
of like, it's almost like it's horrible to hear for that experience, but then part of you is also like, but look at how far they've come because of that. That's despite the setback they've gone, no, I'm gonna have a crack.
Exactly. And I'm not even going to say so. Everyone who's thinking like, I'm not going to drop that motivational speech because I'm the biggest person that does that. Yeah. Like, I am so bad with you haven't blown up yet. Like, I need to just take that advice and that story and hone in on it because you're just like, fuck. But yeah, no, it's interesting, isn't it? It's good to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm much the same as you. As anybody else, I'm like, you've so got this, and you're always ready to build people up because you love seeing people succeed, but you're like your own harshest critic, and then you're like,
100%.
Why am I not listening to what I'm telling other people? Like, hello.
100%. So maybe we'll just take our own advice, right?
We should. Or maybe I'll take your advice and you take my advice.
That
and then
might
maybe
work.
We'll
That's
listen.
the cheat code.
That is the cheat code. And we'll see how we go with that. And then we'll come back to review it and be like, hey, are we starting to take our own advice, or are we both not in that place yet, you know?
That's the secret.
Oh, it is the secret. We've been able to chat about some really cool things, but, you know, I know we've chatted sort of briefly in part one and a little bit we've sort of touched on in this episode, but what do you think is next for you with investigations and the paranormal? Like, what are you excited about, and have you got a lot of projects in the pipeline, or just a couple of little skerricks of projects in the pipeline?
We have got so many projects in the pipeline right now. I couldn't be more excited. I made the decision to drop the 4-wheel driving and the camping content because I just didn't have as much fun filming it. I have more fun doing it than I did filming it and, you know, creating content for it. So now, after going all in on this little scary community that I've built here, we have got so many projects in the pipeline. We have got such an amazing film crew. Like, the magic that these girls can do is incredible, and they are so committed and they have so much drive as well. So I'm actually really starting to feel now like we've got the content, we've got the resources. Now it's just about getting the name out there, and I know that will happen because I know that the content speaks for itself. And all of that does go back to Lily and Coco, to be honest. Like, I'm just the dickhead that runs around on camera, right? I've got the easy job, they've got the hard job. But we've got so many locations in the pipeline. We've got so many investigations, so much more to come. And I'm just consistently building up the arsenal of tools that we've got and perfecting the craft and all of that. We have got heaps coming. And it's all on the YouTube channel now. That's where majority of my commitment is now, getting into long form media.
Yeah, awesome. And that you kind of like half answered the next one, which is like where people can find your work. And we have touched on it a few times, but just in case anyone has missed it, 100%. Where can they find your content, Marcus?
So on TikTok, I go by OzCamper, which is probably my biggest platform. And then Instagram is oz.camper, or my name, Marcus Sutherland. But if you don't want to go on any of those, please make your way over to YouTube. That is where you will find my 100% level of commitment, and that's oz.camper. And there should be something there for you, because we do boots on the ground paranormal investigations. I cover crazy true crime stories, unsolved mysteries. And then I've got my series that I'm creating there as well called Behind the Screams, which is where I take movies that are based on true stories and break down the actual true case that inspired that movie.
Oh, I'm a bit of a true crime person myself, so I'm really excited to be able to jump into that, because if it's not paranormal stuff, it's true crime. Weirdo, I know, but yeah. And for some reason, it always seems to be Australian true crime for me. I don't know why. It's just
we need more of it. So we need to get Australia on the map more.
Yes,
with our
100%.
investigations, with our true stories. And you know, we want to break into that where people from the States are starting to view our content as well, and we can really make a name for Australia, because we've got some pretty gnarly, grim stories, and we've got some pretty scary locations.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's the thing, even as people that live in Australia, like, we're still trying to figure out, oh, hang on, is that building in Australia? I have no idea. You know, like, you sort of, it's not raised enough. So yeah, we definitely 100%. Want to be able to try and ramp that up. And there's definitely a lot of true crime that I love listening to as well. And there's a lot of really interesting stories that come out that obviously don't hit the media at certain points in time. So it's kind of cool to be able to see different understandings or research that goes into it as well. And I know you've done a couple of like cold cases as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Recently. Yeah. So I guess with those, what have you found the most fascinating about sort of looking into that true crime? Do you find that some of those cases also come with a paranormal lens as well?
So there's a few stories that I will find where I'm not sure if I'm trying to link it back to the paranormal just because of that. That's how I feel. But there's I think there's a lot of connections out there still that people refuse to piece together. I think if people open their mind a little bit more, you might find that some of these stories aren't as stock standard as how they read on paper. That's how I'll word it, because there's a lot of bad things that happen, and I think people are too fast to dismiss it, and they want a straight answer. They want if I could see it with my eyes, that's what there is to believe, and that's not life.
No, it's not just a black and white world. There's a lot of shades of grey in between that we need to learn to look at.
Absolutely. And you know what? I'll say this as well. This isn't fascinating. This is more scary. But how many cases are unsolved?
Quite a lot.
How many people are still out there that have never been caught, that still might be on the go today?
Yeah, 100%. And how many movies, in terms of the horror type or the thriller type, have been inspired by so many unsolved mysteries? Like, yes, there'll be some that'll come from ones where it's actually got, problem happening and here's how we solved it. And then you've got so many that just are inspired, and there's writers that kind of will leave it as an unsolved. There's writers that will kind of leave it as, they almost try and draw their own conclusions and things like that. Like it does make it interesting to want to delve in more. And it's interesting. I know there was that TV show years ago, Medium.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's that, being able to utilize for those true unsolved crimes and things like that. How do psychics and mediums operate in that area? And that's an area that really fascinates me a little bit too, was how does that cross over? So
100%. Should the authorities start engaging more people like that to help solve cases? I mean, if you'll find some cases out there where people with clairvoyancy and mediums, they actually do help solve cases, and it's incredible. Such an interesting topic. You can really dive into it and be like, whoa. And you ask yourself, I mean, I wonder, is there any cold cases that should or do get reopened where the authorities should look for maybe some not so stock standard methods?
100%. And there's one that, well, actually, I don't say one. There's several of cases that come to mind just from that question. And it's tricky because these are very infamous unsolved cases in Australia. And of course, there's been a lot of media attention around them over the years, where it's almost like if they were to maybe utilize a psychic or a medium or multiple to be able to try and solve it, is that then going to undo, and I'm being mindful about the way I say this, potential information being withheld might be the correct way to say that.
Yeah, no, it's the best way to say it without
without
disappearing.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. Yeah,
she's onto us. Go.
Yeah, that's it. I'm not so worried about UFOs anymore for some reason.
yeah, exactly. Why does this car keep driving past our house at all hours of the night?
Yeah, that's right. Why is there a spotlight shining in my window?
Yeah.
Why is there a person outside my window? Yeah, but interesting. Yeah, so I'm excited to be able to watch some more of those videos as they come out with the deep dives into the true crime, because I'm sure there'd be people that watch and listen that have also got a strange fascination with the true crime as well, because I think they kind of go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. But I guess, finally, because I think we've done a pretty good job today. We haven't had any tech issues, and
we've done well.
I'm proud of us.
We've done well.
We've done well. We've solved a lot of world problems. We've been able to have a good laugh at some silly things and been able to kind of deep dive into a couple of things as well. But I guess realistically, is there any message that you'd like to leave for the listeners or for the viewers, anything that you think they might be able to carry with them as they step forward on their journey into the paranormal?
Be open-minded. Block out what anybody else thinks about you. If you're passionate about it, dive headfirst into it, embrace it, have fun with it, get enjoyment out of it. Just don't worry about what your friends think or the people that aren't your friends think, because they're going to be judging you either way. Be safe with it. Don't, go in respectful, and just open your mind to all these things, because there's a lot of fascinating things in the world. And I think if we all just take a step back and open our eyes a little bit more, it's fascinating how much you can really see.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. Perfectly said. And I absolutely agree. It's about just being authentically you and not giving a fuck about what the haters think, and just do you.
That's my whole paranormal journey. It really is, I can look back now, and I'm only saying this for the first time now after this conversation, but this whole paranormal journey has really helped me show the real me and be myself more, because I'm like, all right, this is a niche topic, I suppose, that people will say, fuck, he's a weirdo. But for me, I get so much enjoyment, and I've got such a passion for it, and it's really helped me put myself out there and open up, and not being afraid of what people thought of me. And going through school and everything, always trying to be that person where you're like, fuck, what if this person doesn't like me? What if that person doesn't like me? And I wasn't a popular kid at school, so I'm like, well, they don't fucking like you anyway. You're a weirdo. I can own it.
Yeah, and that's just it, isn't it? I think, you'd sort of have to go through that journey a little bit. And when you finally get to that point, and that looks different for everybody at all different ages, but when you finally find something where you're like, I feel like I can be authentically me in everything that I do, it is honestly so truly amazing how many doors open for you with making new friends, building those connections with people, getting to learn more of other people, and feeling like you actually have that community to belong to. And I know that's how it's been for me. And I feel like on my journey, it's like, yes, there's been, there's always shit that goes on in real life, but when you've got something like this that keeps you somewhat grounded, that it's like your form of self-care, where you're like, I'm really happy with where I am in this, and I'm really happy that I get to meet new people and explore, and to be able to explore together is such a huge thing. And I absolutely agree with you.
What a form of self-care. Today we're hunting skinwalkers. This is my self-care. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, that's it. We're oh, look, there's a UFO. Let's just antagonize it. It's cool. We're fine.
Yeah, like, I need a self-care day, so I'm going to break into this old asylum that probably has asbestos everywhere, but it's for me. And I really need this because I've had a week.
Yeah, that's right. Today was the Mondayest Monday that ever Mondayed.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. That's the best. I just want to say again, Marcus, thank you honestly so much for agreeing to come on and to chat with me, and, obviously get to build this friendship and being able to understand each other and learn more about each other. It's honestly been such a fun experience for me, and I just truly feel so blessed to have been able to have you come on and share your journey, and to obviously be able to have a laugh as well. But yeah, thanks again so much for coming on. I've loved every minute of it.
No, it means the world. Thank you for having me on, because I had an absolute ball. Like, I've had so much fun doing this, and I truly believe that your podcast is going to blow up, because you are such a natural at it. You've got such a nice energy. It's so easy to be open and transparent and connect with you. Like, honestly, this will go far, and I really hope you stick with it, because this has been amazing. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. That's truly a really nice thing to sort of hear, because it's sort of like, we were just talking about it before, where you get in that mindset and you're like, oh, but honestly, that really, really means a lot. And I absolutely know the same with you. Your kicking goals. I know I've followed for a while and really enjoyed watching your content and watching you progress into that as well. And I think you're going to absolutely blow up as well.
Thank you so much. It means the world.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. As Marcus and I wrapped up our second conversation, the veil felt thinner still. The stories we shared, the tools we questioned, and the lingering energy from our first disrupted recording. None of it felt accidental. Walhalla left its mark, and perhaps so did something else. Or someone else. And as for Marcus, let's just say the veil hasn't finished with us yet. There are whispers of something more, something we're not quite ready to name, but the journey doesn't end here. In our next episode, I sit down with Sam from Aussie Afterlife Podcast, a fellow investigator of the unknown and a dear friend whose path crossed mine through the magic of the paranormal and podcasting. What began as a mutual curiosity has grown into a bond shaped by synchronicities, shared wonder, and the quiet understanding that some stories choose their tellers. Together, we'll explore her most unforgettable encounters, the tools she trusts, and the emotional weight of listening where others fear to tread. Until then, stay curious, stay grounded, and remember, some stories don't fade, they echo.